Alright, well, the welder really hasn't been good for a while, and it turns out that this piece was broken off. Probably broke off recently or was ready to break. Basically, it's the piece that goes inside. It's called a liner, and now I need a new one for this MIG welder to work. Maybe I'll try the arc welder, but I'm still debating on what I'm doing. Basically, the transmission is kind of in the right place, but using the factory cross member wasn't so, was not going to be in the right place, because this is where the mount was up here, and it would have been too high. By the time you put the modern tranny in and that big ass mount, because they had a skinnier mount back then, it was only so high. So what is because I have to, the exhaust is the big problem. It was basically set up to be perfectly across. If I had a flat piece and maybe 1/4-inch spacers on this, it would have been perfect. But instead, I cut out a section here. I'm going to probably weld the original piece back on here and then add more metal on the other side, actually, so it sits down further. And I'll sit it down even further than it needs to be, just in case I'm wrong. And I have it, the motor up more than I need it to be. It was very difficult because this is the motor in the car. Basically, it looks right, Transmission, I wasn't really happy with the way it was sitting, and then I started, I got lucky because this car doesn't have any carpets in it, so I was heating the fucking shit out of this the other day, and these bumps here were much more profound, and that little tiny bit made a big difference. But I did hammer it over there, hammered it back there, and hammer it over here just to get this modern transmission and the metric 200. And of course now I gotta make up I have a cable, but I gotta make up a cable to work on the carburetor, and the carburetor doesn't have a provision for it. This was the 2-speed tranny that I got for free, but between having the modulator and this bolt-on housing here, it was so fucking fat. I mean, even if if this was not here, it would still be much fatter than the other one. It's crazy because it's just about the same size as a Turbo 350. Turbo 350 is barely bigger. So the metric 200 works. I still had to cut the ears off. I cut the ears off on this one. So if anybody has a 65 to 68 Cutlass Buick or Pontiac, I got a working tranny here. I got new seals for it and a transmission filter and gasket. And that's that. I doubt any of you have that. But looks like it's going to work. I had to get a radiator that had tranny cooler lines, and it basically, it fits the car as far as size, but it doesn't fit the bracket, so I got to modify that too. So there's a whole bunch of custom shit on this, and it's amazing what I've done so far. I mean, it pretty much looks factory. I test fitted the air cleaner, and this doesn't hit, and that doesn't hit the hood when it goes down. So that's amazing. Converted to dual master already. I still got to hook up a lot with the brakes. The flooding, obviously, I used a shop vac. I got about 12 gallons off the floor. That flood that I showed with the other video was just crazy. And now my welder stops working. Not that I was doing a good job, but I might use the arc welder instead. But I was welding and testing and saying, does this look right? And I got to make something work, and I still want to use the original cross member because it has the provisions and the right width, and it'll fit the way it was designed, other than the transmission mount itself where it mounts to. So I think that's the smartest move, and I'll figure that out. Well, I'll have more videos to come.